Hello all, welcome to our Solar Lunch webinar. We are very excited for everyone to be here. My name is Emily Stever, I'm with Solar United Neighbors, and we've got a great lineup today of some solar information, consumer protection information, all about getting your roof updated. So I've got a wonderful group here today that's joining me to present and provide information. So I wanted to kick us off with a round of interviews or introductions. Larissa, you want to start?
Sure, I can start. So my name is Larissa Johnson. I am the Residential Energy Program Manager for Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection. It's my job to make sure that residents like you have the information they need to lower your utility costs, keep money in your pockets, and also switch to renewable energy. And so that's why we partner with Solar United Neighbors, is to make sure that you have a nonprofit organization that is there to help you along the way of going solar. So thank you for coming to this. If you have any additional questions, all energy information can be found on montgomeryenergyconnection.org. Every single question you could ever have about energy is answered on that website. And so there's that website where you can always contact me directly for any questions you have. But I'm here as a resource.
I'll go next. Hi, I'm Kimberly Armstrong, the Maryland, I work for Solar United Neighbors, and I am the Maryland Program Director. And I am charged with helping Marylanders get solar.
I am Michelle Escobar. I work with the Montgomery County Office of Consumer Protection. I am an investigator there. Most of my investigations involve home improvement work, and I've been with the Office of Consumer Protection for 5 years, and been doing home improvement investigations for 13.
My name is Sharon Margolis. I'm also an investigator with the Montgomery County Office of Consumer Protection.
Hi, my name is Tracy Resvani. I'm the Investigative Programs Administrator for the Montgomery County Office of Consumer Protection, and I also manage all of our outreach and education. So it's great to meet everyone.
Thanks all. So before we jump into all the fun stuff, a little bit of housekeeping. We have a chat function in the Zoom where you can ask questions. So feel free throughout the entire hour, ask any and all questions into the chat, and we'll pause periodically and answer them. I think you can also raise your hand if you select yourself in the participant list and click raise your hand, and we can unmute you and you can ask a question as well. So great. So I'm gonna get started with a little bit of an overview of the solar co-op and talk about a little bit of solar basics, and then we can jump in to questions and discussion about consumer protection. So I'm gonna share my screen here. All right. So Solar United Neighbors, we're a national nonprofit. We work across the country helping people go solar, join together, and fight for their energy rights. We've been working in Maryland since 2013, organizing neighborhood solar co-ops, which are group bulk buying groups for solar. And so we're thrilled to be partnering once again with Montgomery County to implement this fourth solar co-op with the added benefit this time of, in addition to going solar, you can also add an electric vehicle charger to your home through this group. So we're going to talk a little bit about how solar works. This is going to be a pretty brief overview, so we've got lots more in-depth resources that we can also cover and I can direct folks to after this as well. But this is a basic solar system. You know, the first part is your solar array. These are your panels. They're up on the roof. They generate solar electricity that then flows down through your solar inverter. And that solar inverter converts the power from DC, direct current, into alternating current, AC. And that AC power is what your appliances use. So once it's converted, it then goes into your electrical panel, box number 3 here, and it gets used by all the appliances in your home. say it's a particularly sunny day and you're not using a lot of energy, you could be producing more than you're using at any given moment. And at that point, then the electricity would flow back out through your utility meter, number 4, and go out and get used by your neighbors. And anytime you're putting electricity out onto the electric grid, your meter spins backwards and you get a credit on your electric bill. And we'll talk about how that works a little bit more in a second. But a couple of important terms related to solar. Systems are measured in, their size is measured in kilowatts or thousands of watts. Your average system size for a homeowner is usually between 2 and 12 kilowatts, somewhere in between. And then bigger than that is a commercial or industrial system. We measure how much power that panels produce in kilowatt hours, which is the amount of energy produced over time. And if you look at your electricity bill, you'll see a line there that shows how many kilowatt hours you used last month. And that's what your electricity company is charging you for each month. Solar connects to your roof with a racking system. There's racking systems that work well for all types of roofs. This is a common asphalt shingle where it penetrates the roof and is attached to the understructure of your roof. And then the penetrations are sealed with flashing to make sure that it doesn't leak or cause any problems to your roof. You can also do solar on flat roofs and other types of buildings. Installers are able to design a roofing structure that's similar or that is fits your particular roof needs. When we want solar on a roof, we want to look for a couple of things. One is ideally we're facing due south. You can also face your panels east or west. You just don't want to face north because you don't get as much sun that way. We also want to make sure that there's enough clear space on your roof for panels and that you're not being shaded by trees or buildings or other major obstructions. A little bit of shading is okay, but if you've got some beautiful big oak trees in your front yard, you want to keep those there because they shade your home. Now, if you can't go solar for whatever reason, maybe you've got that beautiful oak tree, you can also sign up and subscribe to community solar. And that's where you purchase or subscribe to a share in a solar system that's installed somewhere else in the community. It just shows up on your electric bill. You don't have to do anything. And that's a great way to benefit from solar if you can't put it on your own roof. So for all of the systems that get installed through the co-op, they're going to be grid tied, which means at night when you're not producing your own solar, you're going to be getting electricity from the electric grid, just like you do now. And so because they're grid tied, if the power goes out, your solar system will also automatically shut down. And that's a safety mechanism. We don't want to be back feeding power out into the grid. So one thing to keep in mind is if you want power during outages with your solar, you'll also need to add a battery system. And your installer can help you do that as well. So I mentioned this term net metering, and this is how you get credit for any extra electricity that you produce in a day. So the idea is that electricity flows into your electric meter and out. And over the course of the day and month, electricity is flowing back and forth. And at the end of the month, your electric bill is the total amount of energy you've used minus whatever your solar panels produce, the net amount. And so some months, if you produce more solar than you use, you'll get a credit on your electric bill, and that'll roll forward to be used in future months, kind of like rollover minutes on cell phones. And then once a year, you'll get trued up with your electricity company, and sometimes you can get a check for some of the excess generation that you produced. So as I mentioned in this solar co-op, you also have the option to add an electric vehicle charger to your home, which is a great way to either charge your electric vehicle if you already have one, or lay the groundwork for having your next vehicle be an EV. It's also a great upgrade to your home if you're thinking of selling in the next couple of years. It's one of those extra perks that are great to put in a listing. So this co-op process. I'm going to run through this real briefly, but we'll have plenty of time for questions. But basically, we're a solar co-op. We're a group of homeowners that are going through the process of getting solar and EV charging together. So the first step, step number one, is to learn about solar. attend an info session just like this and get all your questions answered. Then hopefully you say, this is great, I want to be part of this, and then you can go sign up online to join the co-op. It's not a binding commitment. You can drop out at any time, but we'll ask you for information about your roof so that we can take a look through satellite imagery and see if your house is a good fit for solar. We'll then send you an email letting you know if your house is good for solar or not. So then step 3, we want to grow the group as big as possible. Our goal is to have 200 people in the co-op. So if everyone can tell 5 friends, we'll be well on our way. And then the group coming up in the next week here is going to start the process of picking a solar installer. So we're going to put out a request for proposals on behalf of all the co-op members, and we're going to ask for installers to give us their best bid. We want companies to bid on the group as a whole and give us their best pricing, best warranties, all the different pieces that make a great solar proposal. We'll get those bids back, we'll prepare a spreadsheet, and then you, the co-op members, can form a selection committee and select a single contractor to do all the installs. So by all going with a single contractor, we can get the best pricing and other terms for our contracts. Once the installer is selected, they'll come out and meet with you individually and give you an individualized proposal. And then at that point, you will make a go, no-go decision. You'll sign a contract with the installer, you'll put down your deposit, and that's the point when you're committing to going solar. So anytime before that, if you want to drop out of the process, that's fine. Just let us know. Once you sign your contract, you'll get installed with your installer. And then the most important step of this whole thing is at the end, we have a fun party to celebrate all of the wonderful solar and EV chargers that are now happening in Montgomery County. So here's some examples. You know, the big question is, what does this cost? You know, it's all fun and games, but you know, how much is solar going to set me back? So these are 2 examples of a smaller and a larger system. But you could have anything within, you know, the range of 2 to 12 kilowatts is pretty common. This is just to give you a sense of scale. So we start out with our average upfront cost for, you know, around $10,000 to $20,000, depending on the size of your system. But then right off the bat, you have a 26% federal tax credit, 26% off the cost of the system. And then you also get a $1,000 Maryland residential clean energy grant that you apply for. So after your first year, your net cost is going to be about 30% lower. And then over the lifetime of your system, you're going to be generating additional income through solar renewable energy credits, or SRECs. These are the green value of your electricity, and you sell them on an open market and you get these credits. And then you're also saving on your electricity bill, and so that's reducing your electricity costs. So systems right now pay themselves off in under 10 years. And so over the lifetime of your system, you'll be saving, you know, between $16,000 and $30,000, which is pretty exciting. So if you want to go solar, but you don't have the cash up front, that's totally fine. There are lots of financing opportunities. The Montgomery County Green Bank has a great new solar loan product that co-op members can take advantage of. There's also solar bridge loan, construction loans, or home equity lines of credit. People can also do leases or power purchase agreements where you don't own the systems, but you purchase the electricity that they produce. So that's a great way to do it if you want to put no money up front, not own the system, and not be responsible for any maintenance. So what's next? First step, join the co-op, sign up online. This is our website. You can sign up online. That's where we'll ask you for your roof and information and address, and we'll take a look. And then also spread the word. We are relying on everybody to tell their friends so that we can make this the biggest, most successful co-op yet. So, great. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now and wanted to turn things over to talk with OCP about financing information and roofs.
That's great. Should I go first?
Yeah.
Let's see, I will share my screen. Okay, is that good? All right. Do y'all hear me? All right. So again, from the Montgomery County Office of Consumer Protection, I'm investigator Michelle Escobar. What do we do at the Office of Consumer Protection? We handle disputes between merchants and consumers, provide consumer specialists by phone or in person, enforce the county's consumer protection laws. We do education and outreach to the community, and we license and regulate certain business, for example, certain businesses, for example, new home builders in the county. We license them and regulate them. Our office was established in 1971. So today I'm going to talk about what you should know before installing solar panels on your roof. And I have a few things written down, so just so I don't forget, so I have all of your information here. First thing, choosing a contractor for solar panels installation. Solar panel systems must be mounted by a licensed home improvement contractor, regardless of whether the system is attached to the roof, another part of the house, or attached to adjacent land to the house. The individual who connects the solar panels to the electric box or the grid is required to hold an electrician's license issued by Montgomery County. I'm going to focus on Montgomery County, but there's a license for the state as well. But today we're going to focus with Montgomery County. This is the information for the Maryland Home Improvement Commission right here for your information there. And then also the license for master electricians in Montgomery County are issued by the Department of Permitting. Roof checklists. So there are 5 things to consider before installing your solar panels. Utility bills, reducing your carbon footprint, and improving your home's value is definitely an advantage and very appealing to most homeowners. But you definitely want to take a look at your roof styles, your home's location, so different aspects that will impact the energy that you will generate and how much money you will spend on your system. So one of the first things here is your roof condition. One thing, you want to just make sure that your roof is in good condition. This means that the roof needs to be either changed or repaired before you install anything on your roof. I can tell you that we have had complaints where where there's an argument whether the roof was in good condition before the panels were installed, and then there's a leak. So we've got the contractor blaming the consumer, and the consumer blaming the contractor. So in order to avoid that, if you can change your roof, a new roof, that would be probably the best option for you to not have to avoid certain problems. Next, you want to look at your location. The more sun shines on your solar panels, the more energy they will generate. Along with your geographic location, of course, you'll want to determine your home's orientation. Make sure no tall objects are in the way, such as satellite dishes, tall trees that will cast shadows on your roof. So again, that could hinder the energy that your system will produce. Your panel options. Of course, today we're talking, I think, mainly about the roof panels, but there are other options. You can mount the system on the ground, and that will be ideal for, let's say, a roof that doesn't have enough space. So, however, there are going to be price differences, so you're going to want to look into that. It could be more expensive. Your eligibility, your rebate eligibility. financial incentives. So Montgomery County residents can take advantage of financial incentives to adopt energy efficient practices and renewable technologies in their home. Incentives are available from utility as well as local, state, and federal sources. But I think a good way to find out what your incentives will be is to contact or look into mygreenmontgomery.org. They have a full list of what your incentives would be, like with the county and other links that would be useful to you. And your financing options, paying upfront is generally the best, but sometimes we don't have several $1,000s to invest. So you're gonna have to take out a loan. So that's another good option. As with both other loans, you typically pay a small down payment, and then, well, I don't know if it's small, it depends, but you'll pay a down payment and then cover the remainder through monthly payments. So anyway, that's another option. Go to 6. Home improvement contracts. This is very important for everyone. The Maryland Home Improvement Commission the Maryland Home Improvement Commission licensed home improvement contractors. So they have very specific requirements, and they regulate the contractors too. So they have very specific requirements for the form and content of every home improvement contract. So, so we want to start with each contract should have the name, address, and MHIC license for every contractor involved. This will include the contractor and the salesman. The salesman himself should also have an MHIC license on the contract if it's different from the MHIC holder or the license holder. MHIC notice for homeowners, that should be included in your contract. Every home improvement contract should contain a notice that gives a telephone number and the MHIC website. And then it should also contain 2 notices also. Number 1 is the Maryland Home Improvement Commission administers what is called a guarantee fund, which may compensate homeowners for certain actual losses caused by acts or omissions of a licensed contractor. This is of a licensed contractor. And number 2, the homeowner has a right to purchase a performance bond for additional protection against losses not covered by the guarantee fund. So those clauses, those notifications should be also included in your contract. Dates. A home improvement contract must contain the approximate dates when the job is going to be performed, and then also when it will approximately be completed. So you definitely want to make sure that's included in your contract. Deposit and payments. A contractor cannot accept more than 1/3 of a contract price as a deposit and may not accept any deposit until a contract is signed. The agreed upon price of the home improvement contract should be clearly stated. Beyond the initial deposit, one thing that you should have in mind, the home improvement law does not control the payment schedule. And also remember, payment terms, including the deposit of less than 1/3 of on a contract, can be negotiated by a homeowner. So you do have that right to negotiate less than 1/3. Mortgage or liens. If you're borrowing money to finance a home improvement project, this information is very important. Whenever payment for a home improvement contract is secured by an interest in residential real estate, the contract is required to contain additional information. On the first page of the contract, there must be a written notice that states, the contract creates a mortgage or lien against your property to secure payment and may cause a loss of property if you fail to pay the amount agreed upon. It should also state that you have the right to consult an attorney and should also state your right to rescind the contract. arbitration clauses. Before you sign a contract, it's important to notice if there is an arbitration clause, because an arbitration clause can delay your guarantee fund claim if there's an issue. It can delay your guarantee fund claim if you file a complaint with the Home Improvement Commission, let's say. That can delay that, or that can also delay any court action that you might want to take later. So you want to just read your clause and see what the details are on that and consider that. Also, if your contract is being signed at home outside of the contractor's business, it may fall under the Door-to-Door Sales Act. So the contract may also, the contract is covered under the Door-to-Door Sales Act. So you have your right to cancel the contract. There should be a notice that should state you may cancel the transaction at any time prior to, and this is just an example, but prior to midnight of the 5th business day, or midnight of the 7th day if you're a buyer that's at least 65 years old after the date of the transaction. So that has changed. It used to be 3 days, but you want to make sure that you note that at this now it's 5 days to cancel a contract, a home improvement contract, and 7 days if you're over 65. So that's something important for everyone to note. Warranties. A solar panel product insurance covers the integrity of the panel itself and protects you against problems such as manufacturing defects, environmental issues, premature wear and tear, among other things. As with most warranties, a longer period is generally the more advantageous to you. So you want to read your warranties very carefully. You want to you'll usually get two warranties there that are like the main warranties, which is product, which is a materials warranty, and performance, a labor warranty. So you want to make sure that you look at your information on warranties very carefully. I have run into a complaint where a company has a warranty they call a roof penetration warranty, which is 1 year. And so you want to be aware of that because if there's a leak and after the year, you've noticed it after the year, well, you don't fall under warranty anymore. So you might want to ask about the roof penetration warranty or something similar to that. Read your contract before you sign. So you want to make sure your right to cancel, your arbitration clause, the materials that are going to be used, alternative financing, your approximate dates of starting and finishing. So in addition, just a few more things. The contract must be in writing and legible. The contract must describe each document that it incorporates, and it must be signed by each party to the agreement. The contract also must contain a description of the home improvement that will be performed and the materials to be used. Remember, a contract is a legally binding document, so it is important to understand what you're signing. The homeowner must receive a signed copy of the contract prior to work starting. And that will be it. Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, and I just want to remind people too that we are actually going to be leading another info session about financing specifically, and that's happening next week. You can always find out more information on montgomeryenergyconnection.org about all the events that we're having. So there's always that resource as well. Thank you, Michelle.
Hi, and I'm Sharon Margolis. I'm actually going to be talking a little bit more about financing right now. Probably will not be in the same amount of depth that Larissa's presentation will go into. But this is just the basics. Again, if you can't afford to pay for the solar panels up front, financing is going to be what you're going to want to look into. They did touch on it briefly a little bit. There are two major categories of financing. One, which is the third-party ownership financing, which covers solar leases and power purchase agreements, and then personal ownership financing, where you actually own the system yourself. The difference between a solar lease and a power purchase agreement, with a solar lease, you pay a fixed monthly rent or lease payment, and it's calculated using the estimated amount of electricity that the system will produce. The monthly amount is due regardless of the actual electricity production from the panels. With a power purchase agreement, you're paying for the power generated by the system at a fixed rate. So if the panels aren't working for a period of time or they're producing less power than was quoted, then the payments for the system will fall accordingly. The rate itself is fixed, but the payment will drop based on the amount. If you don't have the money, purchasing obviously is going to be not obviously. Purchasing may, if you're going to decide to purchase but you don't have enough money, then you'll use a solar loan. So going back to the third-party ownership, you don't own the system. The tax credits, the rebates, the other financial incentives belong to the owner, so you won't directly receive those benefits. Terms of a lease or a PPA can vary greatly. Not all of them are zero down. Some of them have custom down payments and others are prepaid. So there's a lot of different things to consider in a lease or a power purchase agreement. First of all, what's the term length? Most residential solar leases and PPAs are 20 to 25 years in length. You want to look and see how the payments are calculated. For a rent, which is for the lease, and a rate, which is for the power purchase agreement, usually increase over time. Who's responsible for performance and maintenance? With the leases and the PPAs, the leasing company generally will monitor the system's performance to ensure that it's operating correctly for the duration of the lease. They also are usually responsible for maintaining and repairing it. You want to question, how is the system monitored? Most solar leasing companies offer free online smartphone or tablet programs to track your solar panel system's performance. Can you buy the system? You may be able to buy the solar panel system during the lease term. The terms for any purchase will be defined in the contract. What happens if I sell my home? Options can include transferring the remainder of your lease to the home buyer or buying the system from your leasing company yourself and including it in the sale of your property. And then you also want to question what happens at the end of the term. Options can include buying the system outright, having the leasing company remove it, or leaving the system in place and renewing the agreement with the owner. So you can see there are a lot of things that you have to look at when you are looking to enter into a lease or a PPA. Now, for purchasing purposes, there are solar loans. Generally two different kinds of solar loans, ones that are secured, which require collateral, which is usually your home. Examples of those would be home equity loans and lines of credit. But there are also unsecured loans that don't require collateral other than the solar system itself. And that may be a better choice if you don't have enough home equity, if you would rather save your available home equity for other purchases, or if you don't want to use your home as collateral. In general, longer terms for loans will equal smaller monthly payments, but you will pay more in interest over the life of the loan. The shorter the term, the payments will be higher and they may exceed your monthly utility bill savings, but you will pay less in interest over the life of the loan. So more information about secured loans. These are just some of the pros and cons. The interest is tax deductible, although that's of course if you're itemizing. I don't know how much that happens anymore these days. Better interest rates and term lengths. You'll usually get lower interest rates and more options for term lengths than you would in unsecured loans. All fees and miscellaneous charges for secured loans are required to be disclosed up front. There are different rules and regulations that apply to secure loans versus unsecured loans. For the secured loan, you'll need equity in your home and you have to have a good credit rating. They can take weeks to complete. There is a lot of paperwork involved. If you do default on a secured loan, then lenders can foreclose on your home, since that is what is being used as the collateral. And you must pay off the balance of the loan when you sell your home. So in contrast with, we have unsecured loans where the interest will not be tax deductible. Unsecured loans may have higher interest rates than secured loans. The fees can be significantly higher than secured loan fees, and they may not necessarily be all disclosed up front. Now, you don't need equity in your home, and they may be more quickly approved, and the lender can't foreclose on your home if you default, since you're not using your home as collateral. Also means you can sell your home without paying off the loan, but you will still be responsible. The loan stays with the person, not the property. So in contrasting solar leases and PPAs versus solar loans. When it comes to cash flow, the monthly savings from a solar loan are likely to be higher than the savings from a solar lease or a PPA. In terms of financial incentives, with a solar loan, you directly benefit from the financial incentives. With a solar lease or PPA, the owner of the system is the solar company, and they were the ones who are going to directly receive the financial incentives. As far as monthly payments, the monthly payments for most solar leases and PPAs will increase over the term of the lease, while solar loans usually have fixed monthly payments. The monthly payments for a 20-year solar loan are likely to be lower than those of a 20-year lease or PPA. With operations and maintenance, with a solar lease, the leasing company owns the system and typically will offer a service program to cover any maintenance issues that arise during the lease term. With a solar loan, you are the owner and you're going to be responsible for its maintenance. When you sell your home, there are differences as well. With solar leases or PPAs, sellers either need to transfer the lease to the buyer or buy out the lease from the lease company. With a solar loan, your options are going to differ depending on whether your loan is secured, which means you'll have to pay it off before you sell the home, or unsecured, where you don't have to pay off the loan, but you still will be responsible. Buying does add value. Buying the system does add value to a home and can help it sell faster. Leases and PPAs generally do not. Leases can actually have a negative effect sometimes because the buyer is required to take over the lease unless the seller pays it off in full. And those are some of the potential problems with a lease or PPA for a home seller. Since the buyer would be required to take over the lease company actually does require that they qualify to take over the lease. So there is always the potential that the buyer may not qualify. The buyer also may not want to take over the lease. Since these contracts last for 20 years and the payments are generally increasing over time, by the time you sell your home, the contract could be forcing the buyer to pay more for the electricity than they would under a normal circumstance. There also may be cheaper and better solar products available. So it would not be attractive to the buyer to take over that lease. And if the buyer doesn't take over the lease, the seller then has to buy out the lease from the third-party owner. So that's something that you have to take into account when you're trying to sell your home. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, happy to entertain them.
Thanks, Sharon. I think we have one question from the audience. Are there any resources you could point to help find a real estate appraiser that can properly assess value added by rooftop solar?
I don't know the answer to that question.
The only thing I can think of is to look on the Department of Labor website. They have a website for appraisal and inspectors. So they license and regulate them. They might have some information on that on that website as well.
And I would add that it's entirely likely that a realtor or the realtor's broker would have those kinds of networks or access to networks where they could find a specialist in the area that really knows how to value a panel. One of the things that was touched on was the notion of panels and what happens when you sell your home. You should know that the solar panels, the obligation to pay for them don't transfer with the sale unless the company allows it to, and that requires them to vet the buyer of your home to make sure that they can take on the obligation. So in selling your home with panels, there are, as the attendee had asked, there's a lot of side questions that need to go into what happens if you think you're going to sell your home and you've got panels.
Yeah, and I think that's specific to having a lease or a power purchase agreement. If you own the system outright, then it becomes just like any other appliance in your home that moves over. Yeah, I know there's a green certification for realtors as well. So finding a realtor that has that certification is helpful from a marketing aspect for your home when you're selling it. So in addition to making sure that you find an appraiser that can value it correctly, you also want to make sure you've got an agent that is going to help you get the best, visibility for your home and be able to communicate the benefits of you having solar. Great. Other questions from folks? One thing I'll say is as part of the solar co-op process, a lot of this stuff can feel really overwhelming. And so that's why we, Solar United Neighbors, are here as you're going solar. If you have questions, you want help reviewing a contract, you're concerned about something or something doesn't feel quite right, that's why we're here, and we'll field those questions and if necessary, connect you to resources, Office of Consumer Protection or other places if there are problems to address. But that's why we organize these bulk buys, not just to help more people go solar, but to guide them through the process and make sure that everyone has a really great experience and can tell their friends and neighbors about it. Great. All right. Anything else that any of the panelists want to add?
Oh, just thank you for coming, and make sure to sign up for the co-op, first of all. And then also, if you have any additional questions, go to montgomeryenergyconnection.org, and there's information about solar and installing solar and all of that information there.
Wonderful.
And if you have any questions for the Office of Consumer Protection during this state of emergency, we're reachable by email, consumer@montgomerycountymd.gov, and it was on one of the slides when we first started our presentation. But definitely reach out to us. Our website I put into the chat as well, but if you want to reach us, if you have any follow-up questions, and if you want to know how to file a complaint, so folks like Sharon and Michelle can investigate the issue for you. That can be found through the link that I put in the chat, which is montgomerycountymd.gov/OCP. And again, if you'd like to reach us, it's consumer@montgomerycountymd.gov. Thanks.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you for all of our wonderful panelists. We really appreciate y'all taking the time, and we will share a recording of this webinar far and wide. So thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.